Hello?
Hello?
Yes, yes. This is Robert Hajaly here.
Yes, how are you?
All right. I was not able to use the Google Teams. It didn't work for some reason. So I'm having to phone you instead.
OK, donc on va vous entendre par téléphone, Monsieur Hajaly. Vous avez 10 minutes pour faire une présentation et
Yeah.
nous aurons 10 minutes pour échanger avec vous après, d'accord? Quand il va
Okay.
rester 2 minutes, je vais vous avertir.
Okay.
C'est bon?
Right. Well, first of all, I'd like to know if you read my brief. I
Yes.
submitted you have.
Oui, oui, nous l'avons lu avec attention.
Okay. That's very good. Okay, so I'm just going to summarize what's in it. I'm not going to be saying anything different. Um, So I have my main concern, first of all, is that this proposed building is going to. First of all, can you hear me properly? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my first major concern is that this proposed building on Sainte-Catherine is going to block too much sunlight on the street. I read the architect's report. They claim that it will allow 2.5 hours of sun on the equinox. That's not very much, anyhow. But I don't even think that's true because, as I explained in my brief, I don't think they properly show the amount of sun that will be allowed on the street. In particular, I think that there will be a shadow at least until 1 and then before 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And the reason for the second shadow, of course, is a new building which is going up on the north side of St. Catherine, just across from the proposed project. This building on the north side is going to be 14 stories, and it will also throw a shadow both on its own side and on the south side of the street. And what that means is, very simply put, there'll be less than 2.5 hours sunshine both on the north side of the street and the south side of the street due to the two buildings going up. The building on the south side as proposed. And I point out also that we already have two very high buildings on the south side of St. Catherine, between St. Mark and Fort, 15 stories and higher. So what you're going to have, if the building that is being proposed is built as proposed, 15 and 14 stories, you're going to have a very long shadow, about 400 feet between St. Mark and Fort Street, covering the whole street beyond, maybe 4 o'clock or something like that, and before and up to about 1 o'clock. So it won't be very. It'll create a negative effect on the street. And I point out further. So therefore, the only way to avoid that, my conclusion there is very simple, is to keep the existing zoning height of 25 meters for the new project. That is to say, about 8 stories. They can build up to about 8 stories. Even 11 stories would be better, 35 meters, but 8 meters would allow more sun and for a longer period of time. And I point out also that, putting it in more general context, that St. Catherine Street is traditionally it's a pedestrian-friendly street because it's the main shopping street in western downtown. And for this reason, I propose that the zoning height was increased a few years ago from 25 to 45 meters in the western part, from Lambert Close to Fort Street. And I propose that that be put back at 25 meters. On the other hand, going eastward from St. Mark Street to Guy, I don't support the suggestion that it be reduced to 16 meters, because there should be some possibility for further densification. I approve of that, but it should not be in a way that spoils the environment, that spoils the pedestrian-friendly character of St. Catherine. So what I support is that the building height be 25 meters throughout, from Lambert Close all the way to Guy Street. And for the other parts of this neighborhood, for the same reason, I support keeping the building height at 25 meters along the south side of de Maisonneuve, except to protect the what was the former Victoria School and the Royal Montreal Curling Club. That's between Saint Mathieu and Saint Mark. I also would support 16 meters to support certain architecturally desirable buildings on the side streets. So Pierce Street, St. Mark Street below de Maisonneuve, and St. Matthew Street below Sainte-Catherine. But otherwise, I support retaining 25 meters to allow some buildings to be built, to allow more people to live there. So that is the main thing on the sunshine. My other main concern is that there are not many units for families in this proposed building. Only 6 units, for 3 bedrooms and 16 for 2 bedrooms. Now, I understand the promoter says it's mainly for older retired people, but actually there is already a very large building in the area, very close by, for older retired persons. That's the Manoir Charles Duteau. There's over 200 units there for older retired persons, 1 bedroom and studios. So, but on the other hand, in this area, there's very little housing that is suitable for families, and especially affordable housing. So what I propose in my brief is that in this project on Sainte-Catherine Street, that you have 20 units of 3 bedrooms and 20 units of 2 bedrooms. And that of the 3 bedrooms, 15 be affordable according to the prescribed norms of the city. And for 2 bedrooms, that 12 be affordable, because altogether 27 are allowed. And the reason why it should be the bigger units that are affordable is simply because they're more expensive, right? Because they're bigger. So it makes sense that the affordable units should be the bigger ones. Okay, so that is to do with the family units. My next concern has to do with the amount of financial compensation that the promoter has to pay for social units, for not building social units. The compensation, I did a little investigation. It's not really based upon the price of creating these units. It's based only on the supposed price of the land on which the units would be built. And so it's only $29,000 a unit, which means altogether, since there are 25 units, you're going to have the total amount he has to pay is $725,000, which actually would not allow you to build many units, so even social units of housing downtown, maybe 3 or 4 tops. So it seems to me that this financial compensation in no way properly compensates for the requirement to build 15% social units. Now, it may be too late to change the bylaw for this project, but in the future, I think that the bylaw should be changed in such a way that the 15% requirement is really a meaningful one for social units. My last concern has to do with the integration of the George Young residence there, the Greystone Little residence. One suggestion made by the architects in what they call the improved version, it's at the end of their report, is to eliminate the lower ground floor, which now exists in the George Young residence, and to lower the upper ground door and the upper ground window to the ground. I'm against that. It would make that house look very unnatural. It would violate its integrity, and you would lose a valuable lower ground floor. You may know that the Cock and Bull pub used to be there, and that was a place of enjoyment for many people. Maybe that could be a replacement. But on the other hand, I do want to make a suggestion. To the immediate left of the George Young house, you have these kind of rectangular structures which surround the storefronts. But these I don't know if you've seen them, if you know what I'm talking about. It's on page 55 of the architect's report. There's a very good drawing of them. There's 2 of them immediately to the left. But as they're drawn there, they are shorter than the front cornice of the George Young house. So my suggestion is they have the same height and also the same width to better integrate them with the house. And I would add something that's not in my brief, which is that if you do that, what you're doing is you're creating in an abstract outline, you're recreating the George Young house twice over. And that's kind of a very appropriate, because originally there were 5 townhouses like that, right next to each other. 4 of them were destroyed. So you're kind of recalling what there was there originally. Okay, so that's it. That's all I have to say. It's just a summary of my brief. And if you have questions, please ask.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Hajaly. Et je vais demander au commissaire de commencer les questions. Madame Ottomé?
Est-ce que vous comprenez le français, Monsieur Hajaly?
I may, but over the telephone, it's not coming across very clear. So if you could formulate it in English, it would help, but you can try in French. We'll see. We'll go. We'll try. But speak loud, please.
Yeah. J'ai pas de questions pour l'instant, mais je voulais juste vérifier si vous en avez. Non, c'est bon, j'y pense.
Okay. Just to make it more clear, sometimes you seem to support the age, the permitting buildings to 25 meters to 16, and sometimes you don't. Can you explain a little bit more exactly what is your position on that question?
Well, I thought I support 25 meters along Sainte-Catherine Street. Okay, let's start with that, all the way from Lambert-Closs to Guy Street. On de Maisonneuve, I support also 25 meters. Because why 25 meters? First of all, why 25 meters? Because it does allow buildings, bigger residential buildings to be built, so you allow more people to be living there, densification. But 25 meters, 8 stories, it's not so high that it blocks the sun too much, right? It's not so high so it blocks the sun too much. So you allow densification, but you don't spoil the environment, okay? The exception on de Maisonneuve is 16 meters to protect what was the former Victoria School, which is architecturally and has architectural and heritage value, and also the Royal Montreal Curling Club, which is right next to it, which also has architectural and heritage value. It's an old building. And these are on the south side of de Maisonneuve, between Saint Mathieu and Saint Marc. So for those two buildings, I would have 16 meters, not keep them. I would have 16 meters to protect them from development, from being demolished for another building. And similarly, there are low-rise buildings of architectural and heritage value on Pierce Street, between Sainte-Catherine and de Maisonneuve, and on Saint Mark Street, below de Maisonneuve, and on Saint Mathieu Street, below Sainte-Catherine. And to protect those buildings, again, I would have 16 meters for them, to protect their architectural and heritage value. And I think that covers all the streets in this area where the change was proposed to reduce the permitted height from 25 to 16 meters. So generally speaking, I don't support that, except where 16 meters will protect buildings of architectural value, older buildings, heritage buildings of architectural value.
Okay, I see. I think it's more clear explained like that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. If someone wants to ask a question in French, go ahead. I'll try to understand and do my best.
Je vais essayer de vous poser la question. Je comprends que vous n'êtes pas d'accord avec la compensation financière, la façon dont c'est calculé. Mais je veux juste m'assurer que vous comprenez bien que c'est une politique qui s'applique à l'échelle de la ville et non pas pour ce bâtiment-là uniquement. Et vous dire aussi que la ville est en processus d'adoption d'une nouvelle politique. Je ne sais pas si vous êtes au courant, mais je ne voudrais pas laisser l'idée qu'on a fait le calcul pour ce bâtiment-là. Hein. C'est une politique municipale qui fait ce calcul-là. Ce n'est pas pièce par pièce, là, pas édifice par édifice.
Well, I know that the city has it has worked out a new bylaw regarding the 2020. I'm aware of it, but I don't know its particular terms. Okay. So I cannot comment on those terms. All I was saying in my brief, if I may, I don't know if this is going to be answering your point. When they say that there should be 20% social units, but that there can be instead provision for financial compensation if the units are not built on the site.
Yes.
that the financial compensation should reflect more accurately the cost of actually building 20 units, not just the cost of the land on which they're built. And even that is, I think, it's underestimated for the downtown area, but let's leave that out. The requirement should be made meaningful. Either the developer actually builds the 20%, or the financial compensation really represents the cost of building 20%. That's my point. Now, I cannot comment further because, as I said, I know the city has developed a new bylaw, but I'm not familiar with the terms. But I'm just saying, for the future, that should be considered. That the requirement of 20% should be of social units should be made more meaningful. That's all. I don't know if that answers your point.
Yes. Okay. Merci beaucoup. Une autre question?
You said that this part of Sainte-Catherine is the shopping street in the western downtown area.
Yes.
And, you talk a lot about that families could be there. Do you think it's the kind of environment that is suitable to families?
That's a good question, and some people think it is not. The local activists in the Peter Miguel Community Council recognize that there is a lack of facilities for families. And so we have been fighting first to get local schools in the area. So far, we have not succeeded, but there is the prospect of 2 or 3 local schools being built there. Okay, that's the first thing. That's the most important thing. Secondly, we are fighting for a local community center with many activities for children and families. And that seems certain. We are promised that in the new project and where the Montreal Children's Hospital used to be, next to Cabot Square, that there will be a community center with activities for children and families and so on. And we are also fighting for more green spaces and more affordable housing and more recreational and sporting facilities, both outside, outdoors, and indoors in this area. So my answer to you is yes, I understand the point that right now it is not as suitable for families as it should be, but we are fighting for the facilities that would make it more suitable as any part of the city of Montreal. There are many there are families that would like to live there because maybe the parents work downtown and so on. So there's reasons why they might want to live there. Also, it's a more active, more lively, whatever. But so far as facilities for families, we have to fight for them. But one essential thing, of course, because housing is expensive downtown, is that housing should be made more affordable for families. And as a matter of fact, there are quite a few families that already live there, both south of Sainte-Catherine Street in what they call the Shaughnessy Village, and north of it. Often they're immigrant families with young children. You see them taking their children to the school bus and taking them off the school bus and so on. But we want to make things better for them. So I think that is the best I can answer to you. It's a total package. It's not one. Affordable housing should not be seen in isolation. It should be seen as part of a how should I say, an activity to get many facilities friendly for families, suitable for families.
Merci beaucoup. D'autres questions?
Just concerning the issue of the architectural intervention of the George Young Greystone building.
Yes.
Did you receive the new documents? Maybe it could change a little bit your point of view on that question.
Not sure which documents you're referring to. Could you explain that, please?
2 days ago, they sent to you some adjustments that were made by the architects that maybe responds to your question.
I don't believe I've received them. I can if it was sent to me by email. Okay. I don't believe that I saw any such thing. I mean, maybe I overlooked it, but I have not seen it anyhow. Whether I overlooked it or it wasn't sent, I did not see this. No.
Okay, I'm going to check that. Maybe I'm going to send it to you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I will. Yeah.
Monsieur Hajaly, je voudrais vous remercier et de votre mémoire et de votre présentation. Ce qui s'en vient pour nous, ça va être, après cette soirée, de commencer l'analyse de toutes les opinions qu'on a reçues et pour écrire un rapport qui devrait être déposé là, dans les mois qui viennent. Je vous remercie, monsieur.
Well, I look forward to reading your report when it comes out.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye now. Yeah.